Well, hello and good day to you all. My name is Dimitri Frederick, and you're watching Voices for the Voiceless, a Frederick Media production and a subsidiary of Frederick Capital. Today is September the 21st, 2012, and today's show is entitled DNC2012, the Writers' Convention. And today's show, I'm going to give you a recap of the past convention that took place for the Democratic Convention, and some of the things that I saw and noticed from that event. And I wanted to tell you before I get started, because this show is an unbiased show, I keep it real and I'm very direct in the things that I want to say so that there's no fluff. A lot of times, broadcasters, have that bias, but they're trying to say that even ground. I'm going to let you know up front, I'm a supporter of President Obama's re-election campaign, but despite of that, I'm going to tell you as it is and let you know how I feel and what I thought from the convention that took place. So without further ado, let's get started and enjoy the show. Well, what can I say? But that the Democratic Convention was really about the eloquence of those writers who wrote some incredible speeches. Speakers after speakers seemed to say all the right words, all the right things that night. There were no puns, no bad jokes, or a missed opportunity for clapping. The DNC seemed to have gotten their act together compared to the RNC. Everyone was on point and organized. The speakers and even themselves were on one accord to re-elect President Obama. You knew at the DNC that's what you were there for. Unlike the DNC, you saw Huckabee, Chris Christie, McCain, and all those other speakers alike speaking with their own interests in mind. It felt as though no one really cared about Governor Romney. It was a free-for-all on the podium. The Republican convention focused on individual achievements and not a campaign support to elect GOP nominee Governor Romney. And that said a lot about who America was voting for. Like the news reporter stated, that the DNC convention was about the love for President Obama and the difference he made in those 4 years. And you saw examples after examples on stage. However, when it came down to Romney's camp, it was all about the hatred for President Obama. There was no love lost for Romney himself at all. It was like, who cared about Romney who was running for election? And I think the reason for that fact was simply because the DNC connected with the American public at large. People shared their stories and told you what the difference was. It was not a question of were you better off 4 years ago. It was a matter of I will feel more secure in another 4 years with the same president that I trust. And the reasons are clear. When you look back at what President Obama supports versus what you think Romney supports, there's a disconnect between the two. What American people want versus the closed-mindedness of the 70s women's movement that the Republicans seem to want to bring women back to. I am somewhat shocked at the issues on debate in the 21st century. When I first heard about these women's stories on stage at the convention, I thought to myself, this must be a bad Republican idea of a good joke. To make sense of these ideas is kind of ludicrous. These kind of statements in the 21st century, I'm shocked. It's appalling. Well, I guess some of us still think like that. This brings me to the point of today's show. Listening to the Republicans on redefining women's rights is somewhat of a scary afterthought. Maybe the Republicans don't have a clue yet, but the women's movement and the gay vote is one of the most powerful movements out there today. Bigger and stronger than the National Tea Party and the Republicans put together. Therefore, the mindset of the Republican Party is what will prevent them from winning this election and possibly 2016. Governor Romney and Congressman Ryan, if you did not know already, President Obama already got the gay vote and the support of the women's rights movement on lockdown. This brings me to the conclusion of today's show. If Romney and the Republicans lose this election, it was not for a lack of trying. Rather, it was because of their ignorance to stay modernized. It was their indecency to recognize the stride that women have made in the 21st century. the ability for women to hold corporate positions, to be paid equally as men in the same position, to be able to vote and have a voice of their own, to be independent of a breadwinner society that was majority made up of men, to have their freedom of free choice regarding their health or the health of their children and their babies. These were the issues facing us in the 20th century. Women want to feel that they can move past these issues in the 21st century as they elect the next president. They do not want to go back to the 60s and 80s mentality. The women of today want to have the same chances that men do, to own their own homes, drive their own cars, and start their own businesses. And last but not least, the gay movement want the Republicans to respect them and see them as equals. They do not want to be violated nor have their rights taken away. Hence, I do not see any Republican Party in the White House until they have come to accept the New World Order. Aside from that, Romney and Ryan do not even have a clear agenda of how they are going to fix this economy. Keeping it a secret will prove to be the best ideas that they have come up with to keep themselves from being elected into office. The last thing America wants is someone who is uncertain about their own plans, that they do not even feel confident into sharing it with the world. I am Dimitri Frederick, and you have been watching Voices for the Voiceless. And as always, I hope you have been enlightened, empowered, and definitely have been educated. Take care and God bless.